Blockchain events are good venues to connect with different teams and learn something new. I'm grateful to Mainnet NYC event organizers for providing me an opportunity to connect with you all. My name is Pooja Ranjan. I am herder-in-chief at Ethereum Cat Herders, a group which is decentralized and is there to support Ethereum protocol development and process improvement. Today, I'm going to be talking about consensus building in Ethereum blockchain with a focus on core EIPs for network upgrade. Let's explore Ethereum with Ethereum Cat Herders. TLDR, an introduction to EIP's status, present process of core EIP selection, and sneak peek to possible changes in the process. Topics those I'm planning to cover today are brief introduction about Ethereum improvement proposal, documentation, socializing, and review, discussion and consensus building, and also proposed changes to EIP core process. Along with these, there would be some links to useful resources for people interested to participate in the governance process of Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum Improvement Proposal. EIPs are design document describing a new feature, its processes or environment. It provides a concise technical specification and rationale for the feature. As you can see on the screen, they are divided into 3 different types: standard track, meta, and informational. For today's talk, we are going to focus on standard track core EIPs. However, these standard track are further divided into 4 categories: core, ERC, interface, and networking. Coming up first is documentation of the proposal. First, we need to formalize the idea by following the guidelines. Those are available on EIP 1. Once your idea is firm enough to be able to document, it is highly recommended to create a first pull request at Ethereum GitHub repository. I have shared the link to guidelines for EIP 1 as well as the GitHub repository link where you are going to make the first pull request. Socializing comes next and is a very important part of the proposal. Discussion 2 at Fellowship of Ethereum Magicians are highly recommended. An author is supposed to create a discussion thread there where developers and community can come and share their feedbacks. To create awareness about the proposal, Ethereum Cat Herders brings Peep and Eat, an EIP-focused video series. As soon as a proposal is merged as draft or have been created as a pull request, it starts into the reviewing phase. EIP editors are the first to review the proposal and community with the discussion tool link. However, when the proposal is core EIP, it is always needed by the client teams to get into the review process. Next comes discussion and consensus building. This flow diagram, especially for core EIPs. So Ethereum improvement proposal, when merged as draft, is proposed to all core dev or CL meetings. Historically, we have been having EIPs for execution layer. So it was proposed in the all core dev meeting. But due to limitation of time, we could not discuss the proposal in length or may not be able to take all the questions. Those are coming up from the client team. So occasionally we organize breakout room meetings for client developers to discuss this proposal further. Fellowship of Ethereum Magician thread is always there with respect to a proposal where people can go and leave their feedbacks and comments. After a few back and forth of proposal getting into ACD meeting, breakout room meeting, and discussion on Fellowship of Ethereum Magician, that is considered for inclusion if that is agreed by all the client team. And once it is considered for inclusion, it is added to execution specs at where client developers start looking into the implementation of the proposal in their respective clients. Sometimes for complicated proposals, we organize community call, and infrastructure provider and community are invited to share their concern, thoughts, if any, and client developers try to provide help as much as possible. EIP status changes and mainnet deployment. Generally speaking, there are 7 formal statuses of an EIP in the standardization process. Draft, it meets minimum requirement in EIP 1. Review, when EIP is fully spec'd, but changes are expected. Last call, when changes are no longer expected to an EIP, but that is also a required status before it is moved toward testnet deployment. Final means there are no longer possible changes for the proposal because that has already been deployed on the mainnet. Apart from these, frequently assigned statuses are living, EIP is always in active review, changes are expected and it never reaches final status. Withdrawn, EIPs are withdrawn by author for any reason. Maybe some better proposal is on the table. Stagnant, when a proposal is idle for over 3 months and there is no activity going on in the pull request. This can be any other status but final. As you can see in the process flow diagram on the right, CFI, consider for inclusion, is there. That is the first phase of the 3 phases of mainnet deployment. CFI is when all team agrees that we are going to implement this proposal into the client, and we could be expecting this proposal into the network upgrade, whatever is planned for the next hard fork. Next phase is DevNet phase, where developers create their own testnet for testing proposals, and that is done by all client teams. It is an ephemeral testnet, and no one else, like no other people, are allowed to use this testnet. Once we are confident with the DevNet phase, we move the proposal to public testnet, and that's when mainnet phase comes into the picture. Proposals are run through the public testnets, and after successful deployment over there, we move on to the mainnet deployment of this proposal. Let's talk a little bit about the future of core EIPs. As I mentioned, this is under discussion. So there is no firm decision yet, and you are welcome to participate in the process for designing a new process for core EIPs. In my initial slide, I mentioned about an EIP being technical specification plus rationale. So these changes are coming around these 2 big buckets. Let's see what it is. As of now, we have 2 proposals. One, to move core EIPs directly into EL and CL specs, and other one is to use core EIPs alongside with EL and CL specs. To understand the basic difference, the present EIP process does not allow any external link. So the proposal is to separate core EIPs from all other categories and have them stored directly into an executable and consensus specs repository, meaning we don't have to store it into EIP's GitHub repository anymore. The technical specification section will be specified and will be changed with the help of pull request directly on the execution specs. And the text file, restructured text file, will be saved alongside the code changes in the same repository. However, the use of core EIP alongside ELCL specs mentioned that we can continue with the current core EIP process as the way it is described, but there should be allowing to add the external link to keep track of actual implementation. As this is under discussion, there is a link where you can participate and share your thoughts, if any. That's a sneak peek on the new process that we are expecting very soon. Here is a list of links which are useful for people who would like to be a part of Ethereum governance. All EIPs are listed on eips.ethereum.org, including EIP 1 under different categories, not only core, but you can also find ERC, networking, interface, and meta and informational EIPs as well. We try to have all those EIPs listed on EIP's GitHub repository. There's a link provided where you are going to make the first pull request if there is a proposal of a new EIP, either for application layer or for protocol layer. Discussion happens only on Fellowship of Ethereum Magicians, because that's a place where developers and community has easy access, and it is never closed, like threads are never closed there. Earlier discussions were happening in the issue where these proposals were proposed for the first time. These issues may have to be closed eventually, so we have decided to move all the discussion on the Fellowship of Ethereum Magician. With respect to two different layers after the merge of Ethereum blockchain, we have execution layer and consensus layer. Similarly, we will be having specs for execution layer and consensus layer. So we have these two different repositories under Ethereum organization for execution and consensus specification. To keep track of all other proposals that comes into light, we have EIPs inside where we mention like what kind of proposals are being added to Ethereum repository every month. Ethereum Cat Herders, the group I am representing today, is a key contributor to Ethereum improvement process. We try to organize EIP IP meeting, and we also facilitate different community call to encourage authors to share their proposal and bring it to the developers meeting. That's all from my end to share today. Thank you for listening.